Rubbin Minds coming to you live on Channels Television. It's the month of March, the month where women are celebrated in Nigeria and the world over. And the theme for this year's event is gender equality for today, today for a sustainable tomorrow, with the hashtag Breaking the Bias. Our guests are breaking the bias in their fields and would like to speak to them on how they keep thriving in their fields. On Rubbin Minds, we speak to some Amazons in their fields on how they are creating a platform and a sustainable tomorrow where equality thrives. And joining me today, we have Jumoke Dada as well as Tochi Okafor. It's a pleasure to have you both on the program today.
Thank you so much.
Of course. So, let me just put it this way. How does this theme, how does it connect? How do you connect with this theme, this year's theme?
I think breaking the bias is something that represents a shift, a shift in the way the world perceives women, a shift in the opportunities that are given to women. And I find it to be very important. So for me, it's a personal thing, because if we're not given opportunities because of our gender, how are we going to break, the ceilings and also put out in the world what we're supposed to put out in the world? So yeah, it's a very important conversation for me.
What about you?
For me, especially working in a male-dominated industry like Taylor, Taylor is a financial and lifestyle brand. Starting the brand, I've always had, especially men, tell me stuff like, you can't do this, you're weak, this is like for men, and things like that. And, this team is kind of important because, people like me can get to show a lot of younger girls coming up to say, it's possible to be what you want to be without anyone telling you what to do.
So it's good that you made mention of the fact that, you had this challenge with men, in the process of starting the business and even running the business to where it is today. So how can both sexes collaborate, moving forward? In business, of course.
I think for me, I really want, especially men to see that, when it comes to business, it's like a genderless, environment, whether you're a man or woman, it doesn't matter, as long as you get the job done. And, for me, I just think we should get to a point whereby, success in business should be measured by, what you've achieved, how much impact you've made, rather than, what you look like, whether you're male or female.
Yeah. So let's look at, how we can collaborate now in the society to create that ideal society. It's good you made mention of, women not being in the same positions, with men, as much positions as men. Can we create the ideal society? Is it creatable, so to speak, now?
Yes, it is. I think the foundation has to be checked, because what we see is what we have conditioned to accept as the norm. So if we want to create an ideal society for women to have equality, we start from the grassroots. So from the home, what is being taught to men and women? Are the roles so different? Are the conversations for what a man or a woman, a child can do, boy or girl, is it so different? So if we start from there, then children grow up knowing that we're equals in terms of what we can achieve. And my gender or your gender would not affect the level to which we can grow. So we start from there. And then, of course, the education system. Those things are what really enforces what a society becomes. So everything from home life to school life to, I remember being in boarding school, and when they say time for football, there's no idea that women can play. I'm thinking, why though? Although that has changed now, but that's imagine 20 years ago. So it's knowing that woman, man, we're human beings that have capacity, and with the right, equal capacity, with the right environment, with the right nourishment in terms of mental stimulation, physical stimulation, you can accomplish whatever you desire to accomplish, regardless of your gender.
All right, so, in all of this, there are many women who are holding high positions.
Absolutely.
I can go on, and I wouldn't end this show today. Though. Exactly. So, but, we also have that, there's this perception out there that, that female bosses are strong women. What's in your own, Taylor, let me put this to you. In your own place of work, how do you handle, your employees? Do they see you as this strong woman? Do they see you as this hard person? What's the relationship?
For me, especially when I started at the early days at Taylor, where we did have like a lot of employees now, it was more like I have to show these people what is possible. I have to show them that, you know what, I can't play weak at this point because, you know, we also have like guys who are like carpenters in the factory. You know, I really had to like step up and show them, you know what, but the fact that I'm a woman doesn't mean like I can't do this. I'm a woman, I'm doing it, so why don't you do it so as well? So it's more or less around leadership by example. You know, whether you're a man or woman, I get to show you, you know what, this is how it should be. Yeah.
So what's the major lesson you've learned in business, and you know, what keeps you thriving?
I think the desire to put out the work that I have inside of me in the world. So I push to make sure that whatever I'm doing, you know, today I'm running the Excited Living Company. It's a wellness company. And my desire is to help individuals, you know, live their best life, understanding what wellness really is. Recently, there's a lot of talk about wellness being an expensive lifestyle. It's you having to spend X amount of money on something. But wellness ideally is just putting yourself at the fore and taking care of yourself, making decisions that facilitate mental, emotional, spiritual well-being, and that's what it is. So for me, what keeps me is knowing that I have a lot to give to the world, and I will not stop until the world obviously has and receives what I have for them.
We can't wait for that to happen.
Same here.
Yeah, so, Jumoke, you know, educating the girl child and mentoring, you know, especially in fields where you have not so many of women in, is quite important. So that you can have many more of them coming up. Your field is one of them. We've also seen how they're rallying more women to get into tech spaces where we have, you know, STEM, you know, for girls and for women and all of that. You know, I'm beginning to think, you know, how can that happen? You know, how can you get more people, you know, how can you get more women? How can you educate them, mentor them, you know, to also be in that space and do it with joy? Because if you don't like the work you're doing, it's going to rub off on how you do that work. So how do you get more women, children, girl child? How do you mentor them, educate them, you know, in all of those fields where we don't have as many? How do you make it attractive for them, actually, you know, to get into?
I think for most women, I think one of the major issues they've had is, if I do this, I can't see myself making so much impact. For instance, if I get into furniture manufacturing, for instance, I can't see myself making much impact. And for us at Taylor, for instance, part of the things we're currently doing is to like partner with hubs that like doing like a lot of trainings for women, especially when it comes to like, because currently right now we just hired some women who are like carpenters. And I think like for us, it's really like, at Taylor, we make all these pieces in-house, right? But we have like thousands of people who are using these pieces. You can literally bring joy into the homes of as many people as possible, not just in Nigeria alone, but outside like Nigeria and other many African countries as much as possible. Yeah. So for them, if they get to see that, you know, they see that they are, you know, keying into something that is much more bigger than themselves, and with collaboration with like all these hubs who are like doing a lot of trainings for women, maybe in furniture manufacturing or in tech, you know, it's like really going to like help bring up more women like in the nearest future.
All right, so that's on one part, Tochi. Let's look at the other part, you know, educating the girl child, you know, rural and urban centers, it is absolutely, you know, important. So how best can we address this conversation of educating the girl child? Because we understand from the about 10.5 million that the, you know, UN says are out of school, and the percentage of the girls is also, you know, high. How do we address that challenge?
I think the first thing is to look at where the numbers are coming from. The group that has that high number, what is it about their beliefs and their values that make them think a girl child does not deserve to be educated? Because it is parents not taking their kids to school. It's not that there are no schools. So to address the issue, yes, we clamor from the top to educate girls, but we need to also educate the parents on the need to take their children to school, on the need for their girls to be equally educated as their boys. So that's where the conversation really starts, because the government can set up schools, but if no one comes, you're not going to have anyone in the classes. So why are girl children not being registered? What's the problem? So it's the belief of the group of people and why they don't think girl children deserve that kind of what's the word, honor, because education is an honor. So I think if we can address the problem with the parenting and the culture of the places that believe in that, we can start to make the change.
All right. Let's hope that all of that will be looked into. To ensure that from that group where we have the higher numbers,
yes,
things change. But as we wind down this conversation in just 1 minute, what would be your charge to women, in regards to the theme for this year's celebration? 1 minute.
Everything that you think you can do it. And everything that you think you can't is because you don't believe it. So you have to work on your self-belief, because every single thing is possible for you as it is for every other, for men as well.
What about you, Jumaka?
My charge to women is just be bold.
All right, be bold, and of course do whatever you want to do so far you believe you can do it.
Yeah,
I have to say thank
absolutely.
you for joining us on the show and
Thank you.
sharing this explosive thoughts on this special celebration. Thanks once again.
Thank you. Thank you.
And of course, I celebrate you as well.
Thank you.
As I celebrate all women today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.